When life takes an unexpected turn, Thomas Law Offices in Louisville is here to help. They are known for fighting for those that are injured through no fault of their own. Their team brings compassion and expertise every step of the way. Joining me is founder Tad Thomas to tell a little bit more about who they are. Welcome to Great Day Live. It's your first visit here. We've been talking to you for the last couple of weeks. But first of all, people always like to know a little bit about who you all are. Like, where you're from, where'd you go to high school?
High school, Male High School.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Talking about that at dinner last
Yeah.
night. I'm born and raised Louisvillian. Lived here all my life, and this is where I started my firm. But we've actually grown. We're in 5 states now.
Oh, congratulations.
But everything started here. This is my roots. So I went to college in Kentucky. I went to law school in Kentucky, and here we are.
Don't you find that more and more people, that really matters to people? Like, we joke when we ask people where they went to high school, but that means that you wanted to stay here. You wanted to build a business here. Why was that important to have that grassroots right here at home?
Going back generations, my grandfather started our family business on the Haymarket.
Oh, cool.
And so I grew up bagging groceries on the Haymarket and, running the cash register and, went to church here and school here. And, it's home. And I've traveled all over the country, and I still keep coming back to Louisville because it's such a great town.
And you found success, like you said, in just having locations now in 5 different states. What have you really honed in on when it comes to the services that you offer, the services that you feel like can really help everyday people?
I gravitated to personal injury from the very beginning. And it's just the idea of being able to help people in their time of need. A lot of our clients, when they come to us, it's the worst day they've ever had. And we're having to take care of a major issue in their lives. I've sat at trial next to people who've lost parents, who've lost children, lost spouses. And so just being able to be there for people in their time of need is really what my passion is. And so that's my entire firm is founded around that.
And there's so many people that are in that space, right? You can't turn on the TV without seeing somebody in that space. What do you feel like sets your firm apart from the others and your team apart from other teams?
Yeah, our slogan is where clients come first, but that's not really just a slogan for us. Everything we do when we train our employees and work with our staff, if a lawyer comes to me and has a question about a case and how to handle something, the first thing I said, hey, what's in the best interest of the client? Whether it's to hire an expert, go to trial or not go to trial. Everything we do is centered around the client and what is in their best interest. Some clients, need to go all the way and go to trial. Some don't. Some, want to resolve the case. But, we're going to be there for them. We're going to hold their hands. We're going to do everything we can to be compassionate and understanding about their situation while we take care of them.
What you're describing as form of the communication, it's really personal, right? It's not just a number in a case. It sounds like you're really making sure that you're taking time to put personal attention on that client and on their story.
Absolutely. And communications, it's so important to us. We actually have an app for the firm where all of our clients can join the app, and so we can have a communication with the app. A client messages us, everybody on their team gets that message. Their lawyers, their paralegals, whoever's working on that case, everybody sees it and is there to respond and help. So we make sure that we are prompt in our response, that we're answering questions, and we're helping.
When you are in the middle of a case, are there scenarios that come up time and time again where a client is like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have done this? Are there certain things as far as you wish people would document? Because we want to make sure people are safe, right? When you're, especially if you're in an accident scene, you want to make sure you get into the hospital. You want to make sure all the vehicles around you are safe and you're not causing another accident. But there are things that you're thinking, man, if you have time to do one thing, this helps your story. This helps your case. That's
a great question. And the thing that I would suggest is, even before the case, is picking up the phone and calling a lawyer to ask if you have a case. I talked to a woman last night that, in Kentucky, there's only a 1-year statute of limitations on certain types of cases. So if you don't file a lawsuit within a year, you're out. And, she called me and had what was potentially a case, and unfortunately she was, 2 years out. And so, I probably every day I have to talk to a client and explain, no, you're past your time limit. And so, if I could tell anybody anything, call, and even if you just have a question, it doesn't cost anybody anything to call and just ask if they have a case, but don't wait, get out in front of it and call right away.
When you call to kind of ask questions about, hey, do I have a case? What kind of facts or information do you recommend that people make sure it's top of mind or that they have notes on to kind of help you all assess that?
Timing, dates and times and names is the biggest thing. And, people, you were asking about documentation. You know, if people would sit down and in their notes on their phone, just dictate or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, somebody told me this on this day, whether it's an insurance adjuster or a doctor or whoever, and keeping notes about what's going on in their treatment or as part of their case, and then just send us that note, and you know, we can put it in the file, and it really helps us later on.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Hopefully
you.
we'll have you back on again.
Thank you so much.
See, it all started with bagging groceries.
That's right.
Here you are. All right. So if you have any questions, or maybe you think, do I have a case? Just take that first phone call. Just go to thomaslawoffices.com.